very good evening to you and welcome to Primetime News. I'm Navin Majid.
I'm Stephanie Lazarus.
Well-wishers are continuing to gather outside the hospital in Pretoria, where former South African President Nelson Mandela remains in a critical condition. We will have details later on in the news.
Let's start off with a look at the headlines.
Making headlines this evening, heads of state of Sri Lanka and Tanzania hold bilateral discussions. The Supreme Court accepts that the Attorney General has a right to appeal against the verdict given by the Court of Appeal in relation to the Parliamentary Select Committee that was appointed to examine the impeachment motion against the former Chief Justice. Health Minister slams the Minister of Local Government over the dengue epidemic. And former South African President Nelson Mandela critically ill.
අනාරක්ෂක දුම්රිය හරස් මාර්ගයේ තමයි සිද්ධිය වුණේ.
The footage you just witnessed was of a fatal accident that occurred this morning at an unprotected level crossing that claimed 2 lives. Not even 3 days since an accident at an unprotected level crossing in Alutgama that claimed 6 lives, this fatal accident took place near Vijaya Rajadhana in Mirigama.
I'm currently standing at the unguarded level crossing in the Ambanawala area. This is the unguarded level crossing which is between Mirigama and Ganegoda. This accident took place at around 7:10 this morning.
Two friends residing in Mavanala, Nimal Senviratna and Sarat Chandra Siri, arrived here this morning to collect breadfruit. However, the lorry that they were travelling in collided with the Pudimaniki train, which was making an unexpected trip from Colombo to Badulla while they were returning to Mirigama. The two friends were killed on the spot in this accident, which occurred at about 7:10 this morning. Area residents say that several requests were made from various individuals to put up a gate at this level crossing after several fatal accidents. This is a letter that was penned by area residents requesting a gate following an accident that occurred on the 13th of June 2008.
I have served here for 13 years since President Premadasa put up the bamboo gates. When we were serving here, nothing of this sort took place.
The bodies of the two victims were brought to the Mirigama railway station following the accident this morning and then taken to the mortuary of the Vatupidia base hospital. 51-year-old Nimal Senviratna, who was killed in the accident, is a resident of Daswata in Mavanala. The father of one was a businessman by profession.
They came here looking for me. They couldn't locate the road and the accident occurred when they were on the wrong road.
Sarat Chandra Siri, who was also killed in the accident, was a resident of Piadula in Mavanala. The 49-year-old was the father of 3.
The victim was a relative. He is a driver by profession and he had come to Mirigama to collect breadfruit. I got a call from the Mirigama station this morning.
Following the accident in Mathugama that claimed 6 lives, the authorities put a makeshift gate at that level crossing. However, doesn't today's accident in Mirigama, which claimed 2 more lives, show that if speedy steps are not taken to address the issue of unprotected level crossings, more lives could be lost tomorrow.
Unprotected level crossings have been the scene of numerous accidents in the country. News First, you reporter MZ Shahjahan from Negombo filed this report on several unprotected level crossings in the area.
About 25 lives have been lost in accidents at unprotected level crossings in the Negombo area. Numerous people have been injured in these accidents. The situation is extremely dangerous at level crossings on Bishop Nicholas Marcus Mawata, Kattua Periamulla and Abesinghapura in Negombo.
News First, you reporter Negombo Sita MZ Shahjahan.
On to one of our headline stories. President Mahinda Rajapaksa has reiterated that the Northern Provincial Council election will be held. The president, who is on a state visit to Tanzania, had made this statement during a meeting with the Tanzanian President Jakaya Mrisho Kikwete.
The state leaders who met at the official residence of the Tanzanian president yesterday had engaged in bilateral discussions. The president had noted at this occasion that the war had been won and done with. The president, who noted that the present need is to win the hearts of the people, also briefed his Tanzanian counterpart on progress made in demining and in resettling internally displaced persons. Issuing a communique, the presidential media unit said that the Tanzania president had praised the actions of President Mahinda Rajapaksa in crisis management in the post-conflict era. The Tanzanian president had also noted that President Rajapaksa's visit lays a permanent foundation for growing cooperation in every sector between Sri Lanka and the African continent. Following the meeting between the two state leaders, several bilateral agreements pertaining to visa release, intelligence and security cooperation and cultural cooperation were signed.
4 provincial councils have now passed resolutions in support of amending the 13th Amendment to the Constitution. At a special session held under the approval of the Governor, the Central Provincial Council today passed a resolution in support of amending the 13th Amendment. Chief Minister Sayath Ekanayake today moved the resolution containing proposed amendments to the 13th Amendment to the Constitution at a special session of the Central Provincial Council today. The resolution proposes that since the merging of 2 or more provincial councils would defeat the purpose of provincial councils, there should be no possibility of doing so, and that the approval of a majority of provincial councils should suffice, rather than the approval of all provincial councils when passing laws in Parliament pertaining to the subject of provincial councils. The opposition voiced strong objection at the session today when the resolution was moved. Speaking to News First, the Chief Minister said that the resolution was passed in a vote held amid the protests of the opposition. The resolution received 30 votes in favour. 27 councillors from the governing party and 3 opposition councillors cast their votes in favour. 2 Muslim councillors were among those who voted for the resolution. It is notable that councillors from the Ceylon Workers' Congress did not attend today's special session of the Central Provincial Council.
Let's take a look at some of the views that have been expressed regarding the 13th Amendment to the Constitution in the political arena.
Today, the President has said that even if it is a white elephant, we cannot kill the elephant. It is a good message. It is our responsibility to maintain it and take it forward. I think that Minister Nimal Siripala de Silva is dedicating more time to the 19th Amendment than to anything else. We hope to move the 19th Amendment come next week. As the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, we are taking this fight forward as a policy of the SLFP, not to erase it because people are calling it a white elephant, but to make it more meaningful and to remove sections that are unsuitable to the country, the people, the future of the nation, and the territorial integrity of the nation. Police powers are number 1 on the provincial list. It is a power in the provincial list. Thereby, in keeping with the 13th Amendment to the Constitution, the Provincial Council can pass laws relating to any subject in the provincial list. Thereby, after being elected to the Provincial Council, they can pass a law regarding police powers. If this is done, then there will be 2 laws, one passed by the central government and one passed by the Provincial Council. The question arises as to which law is to be enforced. If we attempt not to implement something that is in the law books, then there will be a breakdown in the rule of law. If there is a law in the law books, then it must be upheld. If we disapprove it, we must remove it. From the executive presidency downwards, every action that is taken under the constitution is bad for the country. We cannot move forward with this constitution. Now they are trying to take a section and prepare it without looking at the root problem. Look at how our governors are appointed. I once visited Turkey and was welcomed by a provincial governor. We got into conversation and I asked him how he was appointed governor. He said that you must serve in the state administrative service for 15 years and that you can have no record of priors. Afterwards, you have to sit for an examination and it is only then that you are appointed governor. Then the governor asked me how we appoint governors in my country. I told him that we follow the same procedure.
අනේ මේකත් දේශපාලනපතිය වගේ මොකක් හදන්නේ මනුස්සය. මේත් එහෙම තමයි.
Against this backdrop, we cannot take one section and repair it. Finally, what needs to be done is that this needs to be cleaned out in its entirety.
හොඳයි. එහෙනම් අපි මේ සාකච්ඡාවට ආරාධනා කරනවා.
Former Sri Lankan permanent representative to the United Nations, Dr. Dayanja Tilaka, says that a promise was not made to the international community to dismantle the 13th Amendment to the Constitution and hold the Northern Provincial Council elections. Dr. Jaya Tilaka made this comment on the first episode of the program Vantage Point, which was aired at 9:45 p.m. on MTV Sports last night.
The promise was not to dismantle the 13th Amendment and hold elections, or, gut it and hold elections. To implement and hold elections. So these are promises that have been made. They were not wrong. It was not wrong for President Rajapaksa to make these promises, to make these commitments. It was right. And now there is an expectation. The problem is, if we do not implement the promises, and if we try to tear up unilaterally or dismember the 13th Amendment, which is organically linked with the Indo-Sri Lanka Accord. You can do something, you can tear up an accord, you can tear up the 13th Amendment, but then the other guy does something too. So you have to figure out, when you make a move, whether you can withstand the counter move that you may be setting in motion.
Let's take a quick look at the newspaper cartoon of the day.
Minister Maithripala Sirisena says that the Ministry of Provincial Councils and Local Government is chiefly responsible for the dengue epidemic. The minister made this statement at a program to raise awareness among all education authorities regarding National Dengue Eradication Week that was held this morning. The Ministry of Health has initiated a broad program for the National Dengue Eradication Week that will be in effect from the 1st to the 7th of July. Under this initiative, the meeting to gather all education authorities to raise awareness amongst them in tackling the spreading of the disease was held at the auditorium of the Ministry of Disaster Management.
පළාත්පාල අමාත්‍යාංශයේ මේ රටේ ඩෙන්ගු මදුරුවා සහ මදුරු මර්ධනය කියන වැඩසටහනක් තියෙනවද කියලා හිතන් දන්නවද කියන ප්‍රශ්නේ මම සෞඛ්‍ය අමාත්‍යවරයා විදියට අහනවා.
As the Minister of Health, I have to ask whether the Minister of Local Government has any clue about the dengue mosquito and the dengue eradication program. Does the Minister of Local Government speak of this? Are they aware of this? I wish to ask what programs the Ministry of Local Government has undertaken in this regard. Which media institution, journalist or individual has questioned this chief authority? Who decided on who should be held accountable? If you look at the task of the Ministry of Health, you will see that the number of deaths over the past several years has declined. The task of the Ministry of Health has been carried out.
සෞඛ්‍ය අමාත්‍යාංශයට තියෙන ප්‍රධාන වශයෙන්ම ප්‍රතිකාර. පෞද්ගලික අවුරුදු ගණනක් ගත්තා මරණ සංඛ්‍යාව අඩු කරලා තියෙනවා. සෞඛ්‍ය අමාත්‍යාංශයේ කාර්යභාරය ඉෂ්ට කරලා තිබෙනවා. ඒක නිසා මම කියන්නට ඕන මේ කාරණාව මම කිව්වේ ඔක්කොම කුණු බේරු වල බොක්කට කියලා. එහෙම නැත්නම් අර තව කතාවක් තියෙනවා පැලෙන යකඩ දැක්කාම උඩ පැන පැන තලනවයි කියන කතාවක් තියෙනවා.
I will speak about this without fear, and as the subject minister I am prepared to take responsibility. I ask if the subject minister for local government knows that there is such a problem in this country.
මම මේ ඕන ප්‍රශ්නයකට මුහුණ දෙන්න මම ලෑස්තියි. මේ ඉන්න විශේෂ ඇමතිවරයා පළාත් පාලනය පිළිබඳව මෙහෙම ප්‍රශ්නයක් මේ රටේ තියනවාද කියලා දන්නවද කියලා මම අහනවා.